She was 53 and called Auntie by men her age, until the billionaire 15 years younger called her beautiful. At 53, Simone Hayes had stopped expecting men to see her as anything but Auntie. Her nephew's friends called her that. The younger guys at her company. Even men her own age, like they'd all agreed she'd aged out of desirability somewhere between her divorce and her first grey hair. She'd built a $500 million empire to prove she didn't need anyone. Then Carter Mitchell, 38, ruthless, the kind of man who could have any woman walked into her boardroom trying to steal her company. And when she refused him, he followed her to the parking garage, backed her against her car, and said the two words that terrified her more than any business threat. "You're beautiful." She told him he was lying. He told her he was staying. Now she has to decide. Keep the walls that protected her for 15 years, or risk everything for a man who sees her as a woman, not an auntie. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you emotional stories that stay with you. If you're new here, hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss a story. And if you're returning, thank you. Your support means everything. Now, stay until the end. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and let's begin. The conference room on the 42nd floor of Hayes Tower had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Atlanta's skyline. Simone stood at the head of the table, spine straight, hands clasped behind her back. Her black Armani suit was pressed sharp enough to cut. Her hair sleek, straightened, pulled into a low bun, showed off the diamond studs she'd bought herself after her first $1 million deal. She didn't smile as her executive team filed in. "We have a problem," she said before anyone sat down. Keisha, her executive assistant, set a folder in front of each seat. 28 years old, eager, brilliant with details. She called Simone Miss Hayes in meetings and Auntie Simone everywhere else. Meant it affectionately. It still stung. "Mitchell Ventures has been buying shares," Simone continued. "Quietly, through shell companies. They now own 18% of Hayes Commercial." Silence. Then Thomas, her CFO, 62, white hair, called her kiddo, despite her being the boss, cleared his throat. "That's aggressive." "That's war," Simone corrected. Her voice was level. Always level. Emotions were liabilities in this business. She'd learned that early. Carter Mitchell has a reputation. Hostile takeovers, forced mergers. He targets successful companies, destabilizes them, and absorbs them. He's never failed. "So, what do we do?" This from LaToya, her business partner, and the only person in the world who knew Simone, had cried exactly twice in the last 15 years. Both times alone. Both times at 2 a.m. with a bottle of wine and Mary J. Blige on repeat. Simone's smile was sharp. "We prepare for battle. He'll reach out soon. Make an offer. We'll refuse. Then things get interesting." She dismissed them, stood at the window after they left, looking at the city she'd conquered. 42 floors up. Alone. Her phone buzzed. Her sister Claudia. She ignored it. Claudia would want to talk about Sunday dinner, about why Simone never came anymore, about why she worked 80-hour weeks, about why, at 53, she lived in a penthouse that felt more like a museum than a home. The answer was simple. Work didn't leave. Work didn't tell you that you were too much. Work didn't choose a 29-year-old paralegal and call it finding happiness. Her ex-husband's words still lived in her chest sometimes, a dull ache she'd learned to ignore. "You're unlovable, Simone. You care more about winning than people." She'd proven him right. Built an empire out of not caring. It was easier that way. The meeting request came 2 days later. Carter Mitchell. Tuesday, 2 p.m. His office. Simone laughed, actually laughed, when Keisha showed her the email. "He wants me to come to him." She shook her head. "Absolutely not. If Carter Mitchell wants to talk, he comes here. My building, my conference room, my terms." Keisha bit her lip. Auntie Simone? He's kind of... everyone says he never... I don't care what everyone says." Simone's voice went cold. "Send the response. Hayes Tower, Thursday, 10 a.m. He adjusts his schedule, or we don't meet at all." She expected pushback, a refusal, maybe even a petty power play. Instead, 30 minutes later, Thursday, 10 a.m. "See you there, CM." Something about that response unsettled her. Men like Carter Mitchell didn't adjust. They demanded, controlled, won, unless they were planning something. Thursday morning, Simone arrived at her office at 6, reviewed every document twice, called her lawyer. Had Keisha prepare 3 different response strategies depending on what Mitchell offered. By 9:45, she was in the conference room, positioned at the head of the table where the light from the windows made her impossible to ignore. At 9:58, Keisha's voice came through the intercom. "Miss Hayes, Mr. Mitchell is here. Send him in." The door opened. Carter Mitchell was not what she expected. She'd seen photos, press coverage. The 38-year-old venture capitalist who'd built a billion-dollar empire by 30, but photos didn't capture presence. The way he filled a doorway, the confidence that came from never losing. He was tall, she noticed that first. Athletic build under a navy suit that fit too well to be off the rack, dark hair slightly too long, like he'd missed a haircut because he was too busy acquiring companies, and his eyes hazel, sharp, assessing locked on hers immediately. He didn't smile. Neither did she. "Miss Hayes." His voice was deeper than she expected. Controlled. "Mr. Mitchell." She gestured to the chair across from her, not beside her, across, battle lines clearly drawn. "You're 2 minutes early. I'm never late." He sat, set a single folder on the table. Didn't open it, just kept watching her with those unnerving eyes. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." "I didn't agree to anything. You requested. I allowed." She leaned back in her chair, fingers steepled. "Let's not waste time. You've been buying my company's shares, quietly, through shell corporations. That stops today, or I'll tie you up in legal battles for the next 5 years." Most men flinched when she used that tone. Carter Mitchell just tilted his head slightly, like she'd said something interesting. "I'm not here to fight you, Miss Hayes." "Then why are you here?" "To offer a partnership." She almost laughed. "You mean a takeover?" "I mean a merger, equal partnership. Your expertise in commercial real estate, my capital and development connections. Together, we could expand into markets neither of us can reach alone." "I don't need a partner." "Neither do I." He paused. Something shifted in his expression just for a second, so fast she almost missed it. "But I want one. Specifically, I want you." The way he said it made her stomach tighten. Professional words, unprofessional undertone. She forced her voice steady. "My company isn't for sale. I'm not buying. I'm proposing we build something bigger. Together." He finally opened the folder, slid papers across the table. 50-50. Split. Joint decision-making. Your name stays on the company. Hayes Mitchell Commercial Group. She didn't touch the papers, didn't break eye contact. "And if I refuse, then I walk away." He said it simply, like he meant it. "I don't do hostile takeovers, Miss Hayes. That's a reputation I earn by being willing to fight when necessary. But I prefer collaboration, especially with someone I respect. You don't know me well enough to respect me." His smile was slight, dangerous. "I know you built this company from nothing after your divorce. I know you've closed deals that made men with twice your capital look like amateurs. I know you work until midnight most nights, and your office light is the last one on in this building." He paused. "I know you're the most brilliant negotiator I've ever researched." That's enough. Her heart was beating too fast. She hated that he'd researched her, hated more that he'd noticed the light in her office. "This meeting is over." She stood. "I'm not interested in your offer, Mr. Mitchell. You can see yourself out." She expected him to argue, push, do what powerful men always did when told no. Instead, he stood slowly, gathered his folder, and walked toward the door, then stopped, turned back. "Can I ask you something, Miss Hayes?" "No," he asked anyway. "Why are you so determined to do this alone?" The question landed like a punch. She kept her face neutral. "Because I can. I didn't ask if you could. I asked why you're determined to." His eyes held hers. "Everyone needs someone eventually, even you. You don't know what I need." "Maybe not." He paused at the door. "But I know what I see. A woman who's built walls so high she's forgotten what it's like on the other side. And I know what that's like, because I did the same thing." Then he left. Simone stood in the empty conference room, hands gripping the back of her chair, breathing too fast. Who the hell does he think he is? She tried to forget the meeting, dove into work, reviewed acquisition proposals, attended a zoning board meeting, had drinks with Latoya, who took one look at her face and said, "What happened?" "Carter Mitchell happened." Latoya's eyes went wide. "The Carter Mitchell? The one trying to merge with you?" "He's not merging with me." I turned him down. "Good. That man is dangerous. I read about him in Forbes. Never been in a relationship longer than 3 months. ruthless in business. They call him the machine. I know. Simone took a long drink of her wine. He's persistent. Most predators are, but he hadn't felt like a predator. That was the problem. He'd felt like someone who understood, someone who'd built the same walls for the same reasons. She hated that. Sunday dinner at Claudia's house was a tradition Simone had been avoiding for months, but her sister had called 6 times this week, and Simone had run out of excuses. The house smelled like fried chicken and collard greens. Gospel music played softly in the kitchen. Claudia's 3 kids, teenagers now, were setting the table. Her husband Marcus was watching football in the living room. Auntie Simone, her nephew James, 17, grinned when she walked in. "You actually came. Don't sound so surprised." She hugged him, let him tower over her now. When had he gotten so tall? "It's just been a while. Mum said you're working too much again. Your mum worries too much." Dinner was loud, chaotic, everyone talking over each other, passing dishes, laughing at inside jokes Simone had missed. She sat at the end of the table, smiling when appropriate, feeling separate, like watching a movie of someone else's life. "So, Auntie Simone," James said, loading his plate with mac and cheese, "you seeing anybody?" The table went quiet. Claudia shot her son a warning look. Simone forced a laugh. "No, honey, I'm too busy for all that. That's what you always say." This from her niece, Brianna, 15 and bold. "Don't you want someone?" "Brianna," Claudia warned. "What? I'm just asking. Auntie Simone is beautiful and rich and smart. Why is she always alone?" The answer was complicated. The answer was that 15 years ago, her husband had looked at her the morning after she closed her first major deal and said, "You care more about being right than being loved." The answer was that being alone was safer than being left. But she couldn't say that at Sunday dinner with collard greens and gospel music. So she said, "Some people are just meant to focus on their careers, sweetheart." Brianna frowned. "That's sad." It was. Simone knew it was. But she'd made peace with sad a long time ago. After dinner, she helped Claudia with dishes. Her sister waited until they were alone to say, "You know she didn't mean anything by it." "I know. But she's not wrong. You are always alone, Simone." "I like being alone." "No, you don't." Claudia's voice was gentle, infuriating. "You're terrified, and I get it. David hurt you." "I don't want to talk about David." "Fine, but you're 53, not dead. You deserve to be happy, to be seen as more than just Auntie Simone or Miss Hayes, the CEO. You deserve to be a woman someone wants." Simone's throat tightened. She focused on scrubbing a pan. "I'm fine, Claudia. You're lonely. There's a difference." That night, alone in her penthouse, Simone stood at the window overlooking the city, 42 floors up. Everything she'd built spread out below her. Her phone buzzed. An email. She almost ignored it, then saw the sender, Carter Mitchell. "Miss Hayes, I know you said the meeting was over. I'm not writing to change your mind about the merger. I'm writing because I meant what I said Thursday. You've built something remarkable, not just your company yourself. The armor, the walls, the refusal to need anyone. I recognize it because I did the same thing. But here's what I learned. Being strong doesn't mean being alone, and refusing help isn't the same as being independent. If you ever want to talk not about business, just talk. My number is below. I hope you do. Carter." Simone read it 3 times, then deleted it, then restored it from trash. She didn't know what unsettled her more, that he'd written it, or that she wanted to respond. She didn't call him. For 2 weeks, she ignored the email, threw herself into work, closed a major deal with a developer in Buckhead, attended 3 board meetings, avoided Claudia's calls asking when she'd come to dinner again. But she thought about the email. Late at night, when the city lights blurred and her penthouse felt too empty, she thought about what he'd said. Being strong doesn't mean being alone. What if he was wrong? What if alone was the only way to stay strong? The parking garage was nearly empty at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. Simone had stayed late again, reviewing contracts for a new acquisition. Her heels echoed against concrete as she walked toward her car, laptop bag over her shoulder, phone in hand, answering one last email. She didn't see him until she was 3 feet from her Mercedes. Carter Mitchell was leaning against the concrete pillar next to her parking spot, hands in his pockets, looking like he'd been waiting a while. Her heart jumped. She forced it calm. "This is private property, Mr. Mitchell." "I know. I bought a company on the 10th floor last month." He pushed off the pillar, came closer. not threatening, just present. Parking spot 247. I saw your car when I was leaving, and you waited for me. I wanted to see if you'd actually respond to my email. When you didn't, I figured I'd try a more direct approach. She should tell him to leave, should get in her car and drive away, should maintain the distance she'd spent 2 weeks rebuilding. Instead, she heard herself say, "That email was inappropriate. I know. You don't know me well enough to psychoanalyze why I'm single. You're right. I don't." He took another step, close enough now that she could smell his cologne, something cedar and expensive. "But I know what I see, and what I see is someone who's convinced herself that being alone is the same as being safe. That's none of your business. It became my business when I couldn't stop thinking about you." He said it simply, like stating a fact. "I've tried, Miss Hayes, for 2 weeks. I've tried to forget the way you looked at me in that conference room, the way your voice went cold when I asked about being alone, the way you—" He stopped, jaw tight. "I don't do this. I don't chase women. I don't wait in parking garages like some stalker. But here I am, because I can't get you out of my head." Her chest felt tight. "You don't even know me. Then let me." "Why?" The word came out sharper than she intended. Defensive. "Why me? You could have anyone. Someone younger. Someone who doesn't have—" She stopped. Couldn't say it. "Someone who doesn't have what?" His voice was quiet now. Careful. "Baggage. Walls. A reputation for being difficult. I have all of those things too." He moved closer. She was against her car now. Nowhere to retreat. He didn't touch her, didn't trap her, just stood close enough that she felt the heat of him. "That's exactly why. Because you understand what it's like to build yourself into something untouchable. To decide that if you can't be hurt, you're safe." Her breathing had gone shallow. "And you think you can just— what? Walk into my life and change that?" "No." His hand came up slowly, giving her time to move away, and touched her chin. Gentle, tilting her face up toward his. "I think maybe we could try being less alone together. See what happens." Her hand lifted instinctively, fingers grazing his chest, caught between pushing him away and pulling him closer. She could feel his heartbeat through his shirt, fast, like hers. "This is a bad idea," she whispered. "I know." His thumb brushed her jaw. His eyes, those hazel eyes, held hers with an intensity that made her forget how to breathe. "But I'm tired of good ideas that leave me empty. Aren't you?" The parking garage was silent except for their breathing. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Somewhere above them, an elevator dinged. For the first time in 15 years, Simone Hayes didn't have control, and she couldn't decide if she was terrified or relieved. "I don't know how to do this," she admitted. Her voice was smaller than she wanted, vulnerable. "I don't know how to be. Soft. Open. Whatever you're expecting." "I'm not expecting anything." His other hand came up, cupping her face now. "Both of them. Except honesty. That's all. Just be honest. With me. With yourself." "Honest about what?" "About whether you feel this too." His forehead nearly touched hers. "This thing between us that's been there since I walked into your conference room. Tell me I'm not imagining it." She should lie, should say he was wrong, should get in her car and drive away and never look back. Instead, she whispered, "You're not imagining it." His breath caught. "Simone, Miss Hayes," she corrected automatically. He smiled. Actually smiled. "Simone," he repeated, deliberate, "have dinner with me." "That's not appropriate." "Why? Because you turned down my business proposal? That has nothing to do with this. Everything is business with men like you. Men like me." His thumb traced her cheekbone. She hated that her eyes closed at the touch. "And what kind of man is that? Ruthless, calculating. Men who see what they want and take it." "You're not wrong." He pulled back just enough to look at her clearly. "But you're also not something to take. You're someone to earn, and I'm willing to try, if you'll let me." Her phone buzzed in her hand. Probably Keisha with a question about tomorrow's meeting. Probably her sister calling again. Probably anything other than standing in a parking garage at 8 p.m. with a man 15 years younger looking at her like she was the only thing that mattered. "One dinner," she heard herself say. His smile was slow, devastating. "One dinner, somewhere quiet. No one from my industry can see us. Done. And this doesn't mean anything. It's just dinner. Between two professionals who—" He kissed her. Not hard, not demanding. Just a brush of his lips against hers, there and gone before she could process it, leaving her gasping. Sorry, he said, not sounding sorry at all. You were talking yourself out of it. I couldn't let that happen. She should be furious, should slap him, should do literally anything other than stand there touching her lips, feeling like the ground had disappeared beneath her. You can't just… Friday, 7 p.m. I'll text you the address. He was already backing toward the elevator, that infuriating smile still on his face. Wear something that makes you feel beautiful. Not powerful, not professional, beautiful. Then he was gone. Simone stood alone next to her Mercedes for 5 full minutes, heart racing, lips tingling, absolutely certain she'd just made a terrible mistake. And absolutely certain she was going to show up Friday anyway. Quick pause if you're feeling this story. Hit the hype so others can find it. Comment where you're watching from. Now, back to the story. Friday took 3 years to arrive. Or that's how it felt to Simone, who spent Wednesday rearranging her calendar, Thursday questioning her sanity, and Friday morning staring at her closet like it had personally betrayed her. Wear something that makes you feel beautiful. She owned 43 business suits, 16 pairs of Louboutins, enough jewelry to make most women jealous. She owned exactly 0 outfits that made her feel beautiful. At 2 p.m., she did something she hadn't done in 8 years. She called Claudia. I need your help. 10 seconds of silence. Then, Simone? Are you dying? What? No. I need fashion advice. Oh my God, you're dying. I'm not dying. I have a… thing. Tonight. And I don't know what to wear. A thing? What kind of thing? Claudia's voice sharpened with interest. Simone Elizabeth Hayes, do you have a date? It's not a date. It's dinner. Professional dinner. Professional dinners don't require fashion advice. You have 70,000 business suits. Who is he? Simone sat on her bed, pressed her fingers to her temples. His name is Carter. He's… persistent. Carter Mitchell? The one trying to merge with your company? How do you… Google, Simone. I may be a stay-at-home mom, but I'm not living under a rock. That man is gorgeous, and he's been buying shares of your company. And now you're having dinner with him? Claudia's squeal could probably be heard in Tennessee. This is happening. You're dating again. I'm not dating. It's one dinner. That's all. And what did he say when he asked you? Simone hesitated. Wear something that makes you feel beautiful. Claudia went silent. Then, quietly, Oh, honey, that's not a professional dinner. I know, Simone's voice cracked. Claudia, I don't know how to do this. It's been 15 years, and he's 38. What does a 38-year-old billionaire want with a 53-year-old woman who… Stop, Claudia's voice went firm. Don't finish that sentence. Don't you dare finish that sentence. But, no, listen to me. You are 53 years old, and you look like you're 40. You've built an empire. You're brilliant and strong, and yes, you're a little scary, but that's hot to the right man. And apparently, Carter Mitchell is the right man. He barely knows me. Then let him get to know you. Wear the burgundy dress. I don't have a burgundy dress. The one I made you buy 2 years ago for that charity gala. The one you said was too much. That one. Simone walked to her closet, pushed past the suits, found the dress still wrapped in dry cleaning plastic. She'd worn it once, felt exposed, felt like everyone was staring, felt like she was trying too hard. Claudia, I can't. You can, and you will. Because that man told you to wear something that makes you feel beautiful, and that dress was made for you. Wear it. Do your hair down. Soft curls. Light makeup. And Simone? Yeah? Let yourself have this, just for one night. Let yourself be a woman on a date, instead of a CEO in a meeting. Please. After they hung up, Simone stood in her bathroom, staring at her reflection. The dress hung on the door behind her deep burgundy, elegant, fitted but not tight, showing her shoulders. She'd felt beautiful in it. That was the problem. Beautiful felt dangerous, but maybe dangerous was exactly what she needed. The restaurant was in Buckhead, tucked away on a quiet street. Small, intimate, expensive enough that there was no menu, the chef just brought courses. Carter was already there when Simone arrived at 7:03. She was never late. She'd made herself late tonight just to prove she had control. He stood when he saw her, wore a dark grey suit, no tie, top button undone. His eyes went wide when she walked toward him, actually wide, like he'd forgotten how to hide his reaction. Simone, he said, her name like he was tasting it. You look… I know. Too much. I should have worn. You look stunning. He pulled out her chair, waited for her to sit. I was going to say stunning, but that doesn't cover it. She sat, smoothed the napkin in her lap, tried to remember how to breathe normally. You clean up well yourself, Mr. Mitchell. Carter, please, we're not in a boardroom. No, we're not. She glanced around, soft lighting, candles, a pianist in the corner playing something low and jazzy. You picked well. It's nice. Nice is code for, I'm uncomfortable. He poured her wine red, something expensive, and slid the glass toward her. Are you uncomfortable? Terrified, actually. His smile was gentle. Good. Me too. You don't look terrified. I'm very good at hiding it. Comes with the job. He raised his glass. To honesty and being terrified together. She clinked her glass against his. The wine was perfect, rich, smooth, the kind you tasted instead of drank. How long have you been sitting here? Since 6:30. That's 30 minutes early. I know. I was nervous. Figured sitting here would be better than sitting in my car. He leaned back, studying her. You were late on purpose. How did you? Because you're always 3 minutes early to everything. I noticed that in our meeting. You time things. Control them. Being late tonight was your way of proving you still have power here. She should feel exposed, angry that he'd read her so easily. Instead, she felt seen. Are you going to analyze everything I do tonight? Probably. But only because I'm trying to understand you. And you're very good at not being understood. The first course arrived something delicate with scallops and saffron. They ate in silence for a minute. Then Simone said, Why me? I wondered when you'd ask that. You could have anyone. Someone younger. Someone who doesn't challenge me? He set down his fork. Someone who smiles and nods and makes me feel like the smartest person in the room? I've dated those women, Simone, for exactly 3 months each. Then I get bored and leave. So I'm a challenge? That's what this is? No. You're the first woman I've met in a decade who doesn't need me. Everyone I've dated has wanted something: money, connections, status. You don't need any of that. You've built it yourself. And that's, God, that's attractive. So you're attracted to my independence. I'm attracted to everything about you. He said it simply. The way you walk into a room like you own it. The way you don't smile unless you mean it. The way you called me out in that boardroom without blinking. I've spent 15 years building walls. You're the first person who looked at mine and didn't try to climb over them. You just built yours higher and said, match me. Her throat felt tight. That's not necessarily a good thing. Maybe not, but it's honest. And I'm tired of people who aren't honest. The pianist started playing Alicia Keys. Simone recognized the song, If I Ain't Got You. She'd played it on repeat after her divorce, cried to it, eventually learned to hate it. Now it just made her chest ache. Tell me something, Carter said quietly. Something real. Not your resume or your company history. Something that matters. She took a long drink of wine. Like what? Like why you built those walls? What happened that made you decide being alone was safer? Every instinct screamed not to answer, to deflect, to turn the question back on him. Instead, she heard herself say, My husband left me 15 years ago, told me I was unlovable, that I cared more about winning than people. That being with me was like being with a robot, no warmth, no softness, just ambition. She met Carter's eyes, so I became exactly what he said, built a company out of not needing anyone, and it worked. I'm successful, respected, feared, her voice dropped, and completely alone. Carter's jaw was tight. He was wrong. Was he? Yes, because you're not a robot. You're someone who learned to protect herself the only way you knew how, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Simone! He reached across the table, took her hand. She almost pulled away. Almost. Being strong doesn't mean being alone, and you deserve someone who sees your strength and isn't intimidated, who sees your walls and wants to know the woman behind them, not to fix you, just to know you. Her eyes were burning. She blinked hard. And you think you're that person? I think I'd like to try, if you'll let me. The second course arrived. She pulled her hand back, grateful for the distraction. They ate, talked about safer things, the restaurant, the city, his company's latest acquisition. The conversation flowed easier now. He made her laugh, actually laugh, with a story about his first failed business pitch. She found herself relaxing, forgetting to monitor every word. By the third course, she'd finished 2 glasses of wine and was warm in a way that had nothing to do with alcohol. Your turn, she said. Tell me something real. Why are you so closed off? What happened? His smile faded. My parents died when I was 23. Car accident. 1 minute they were there, the next they were gone. I was about to graduate from business school. Had plans. A girlfriend. A best friend starting a company with me. Then everything fell apart. I'm sorry. The girlfriend left 3 months later, said I was too distant, too cold. My best friend stole my first company idea, partnered with someone else, and shut me out completely. Within 6 months, I lost everyone I trusted. He turned his wine glass slowly. So I decided I'd never trust anyone again. Built my empire alone. Took exactly 0 partners. Kept relationships surface level. Worked 80-hour weeks. Sound familiar? Very. We're quite a pair, aren't we? His smile was sad. 2 people who decided armor was better than vulnerability. Is it wrong? To protect yourself? No. But I think there's a difference between protection and prison, and I'm starting to realize I've been living in a prison for 15 years. The honesty in his voice cracked something in her chest. Me too. They stayed until the restaurant closed, talked for 3 hours, laughed more than she'd laughed in months. When the waiter gently suggested they'd need the table soon, Simone was shocked to see it was past 10 p.m. Carter walked her to her car. The night air was cool. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled. Thank you, she said when they reached her Mercedes. For tonight, for this. Does this mean you'll agree to a second dinner? I don't know. She was being honest. This scares me, Carter. You scare me. Good. You scare me too. He stepped closer, hands in his pockets like he was forcing himself not to touch her. But I'd rather be scared and alive than safe and numb. Wouldn't you? Before she could answer, the sky opened. Rain. Not a drizzle. A downpour. The kind that soaked through clothes in seconds. They both stood there, stunned, as water poured over them. Then Carter laughed, actually laughed, threw his head back and let the rain hit his face. Of course, he shouted over the sound. Perfect timing. Simone stared at him. At this billionaire, in an expensive suit, standing in a parking lot in the rain, laughing like it was the best thing that had happened all night. And something in her broke. She started laughing too. Couldn't help it. The absurdity of it. The perfection of it. Standing in the rain after the best date she'd had in 15 years, with a man who wasn't intimidated by her walls because he had his own. Carter looked at her, really looked at her, with rain dripping down his face, his hair plastered to his forehead, his suit ruined. You're even more beautiful when you laugh. I'm soaking wet. I know. So am I. And I don't care. He crossed the distance between them, cupped her face with both hands, rain running between his fingers. Can I kiss you? Actually kiss you this time? She should say no. Should get in her car. Should stop this before it got too real. Instead, she whispered, yes. He kissed her like he'd been waiting his whole life to do it. Slow at first, then deeper when she made a sound in her throat she hadn't known she could make. Her hands fisted in his wet shirt, his fingers threaded through her hair, destroying the careful curls she'd spent an hour on. The rain poured over them. Neither of them cared. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to hers. Second date? He asked. Yeah, she whispered. Second date. The second date happened 3 days later. And the third date 2 days after that. And by the 4th week, Simone had stopped calling them dates and started calling them Carter time, which Keisha found hilarious, and Claudia found romantic, and LaToya found deeply concerning. You're falling for him, LaToya said over lunch at their favorite spot in Midtown. She'd known Simone for 22 years. She didn't mince words. And you fall hard or not at all. So, this is either going to be beautiful or it's going to destroy you. Simone pushed her salad around her plate. I'm not falling. Girl, please. You smile at your phone now. You leave work before 8 p.m. You wore your hair down to the office yesterday. Down. I've known you for 2 decades, and I've seen your hair down exactly 4 times. He likes it down. Exactly my point. LaToya leaned forward. I'm not saying don't do this. I'm saying be careful, because that man is 15 years younger than you, richer than God, and looks like he walked out of a magazine. And when this ends, why does it have to end? Because it always does, honey, especially for women like us. LaToya's voice was gentle but firm. We're not 25 anymore. We don't get the fairy tale. We get men who want us until someone younger comes along. The words hit like a slap, because Simone had thought the same thing, late at night. When Carter texted good night and she wondered how long before he realized she was too old, too closed off, too damaged. "He's not like that," Simone said quietly. "They're all like that until they're not." That night, Carter took her to a jazz club in West End. Small place, intimate, where the music was so good you forgot to talk. They sat in the back, his arm around her shoulders, her head against his chest, just listening. During the break, he said, "Tell me about your company, how you started it. You've read my bio, Stanford MBA, worked in commercial real estate for—" "No, not your resume, the real story, why you started it." She watched the musicians pack up their instruments. "After my divorce, I had nothing. David got the house, the cars, most of our savings because I'd been too stupid to protect myself legally. I was 38, starting over, working for a company where my boss called me sweetie and grabbed my ass in the elevator." Carter's arm tightened around her. "Tell me his name. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is I quit. Used the last of my money to rent a tiny office and started cold calling property owners. Told them I could get better deals than whoever they were working with. Half of them hung up. The other half laughed. But 3 people gave me a chance. I made them so much money they told their friends. Within 2 years, I had 15 clients. Within 5, I had 50. Within 10, I was the most successful commercial real estate broker in Atlanta. And you did it alone." "I had to. Trusting people had destroyed me. So I built something no one could take away." He was quiet for a long moment. "Then, I get that. After my best friend stole my company, I swore I'd never have partners again. Never trust anyone with my ideas. Every company I've built, I've owned 100%. Every decision I've made alone. It's lonely, but it's safe. Is that why you wanted to merge with my company? To learn how to trust again?" He turned her face toward his. "No, I wanted to merge because you're the only person I've met who understands that safety and loneliness are the same thing, and maybe together we could figure out how to be less of both." She kissed him then, long and slow. The kind of kiss that made the jazz musicians, starting their second set, smile and look away. Week 6, and the tabloids found them. Atlanta's ice queen melting. Hayes CEO spotted with young venture capitalist. The photo was from the jazz club, her head on his chest, his arm around her, both of them looking happy. The comments were worse. "She's old enough to be his mother. Gold digger for sure. He must have a thing for cougars. Give it 3 months before he finds someone his own age." Simone read them in her office, chest tight, eyes burning. She'd known this was coming, known people would judge, but seeing it in print made it real. Her phone rang. "Claudia, don't read the comments. Too late." "Simone, they're trolls. Miserable people who—" "They're not wrong." Her voice cracked. "I am too old for him. He is going to realize it eventually. And when he does—" "Stop. Just stop. Have you talked to him?" "No. He's in meetings all day." "Then talk to him tonight. Tell him how you're feeling. Let him reassure you." But that was the problem. She didn't want to need reassurance. Didn't want to be the insecure older woman clinging to a younger man. Didn't want to give him the power to hurt her. Carter showed up at her office at 6 p.m. with Thai food and fury in his eyes. "I saw the article," he said, dropping the takeout on her desk, "and I'm going to sue them." "You can't sue them for printing the truth." "The truth? The truth is I'm dating the most incredible woman I've ever met. The truth is I can't stop thinking about you. The truth is every morning I wake up wondering how I got this lucky." He came around the desk, pulled her to her feet. "The truth is not some tabloid bullshit about age gaps and gold diggers." "Carter, no. Listen to me. I don't care what they say. I don't care what anyone says. You're 53. I'm 38. So what? You think that matters to me? You think I'm with you because I don't notice the age difference? Then why are you with me?" The question came out smaller than she wanted. "Vulnerable, because I need to know, before this goes any further, before I—" She stopped. "Before you what?" "Before I fall in love with you and you realize you made a mistake." His face went soft. "Simone, God. You really don't see it, do you?" "See what?" "I already fell. Weeks ago. That first night in the rain. Maybe even before that. In the parking garage, when you looked at me like I was crazy for waiting for you." He cupped her face with both hands. "I'm in love with you, not despite your age, not despite your walls, not despite anything. I'm in love with you because you're brilliant and strong and you don't take shit from anyone. Because you make me want to be better. Because when I'm with you, I'm not lonely anymore. Her breath caught. You love me? Desperately, completely, probably more than is healthy. He smiled. And I know you're not ready to say it back. That's okay. I can wait. But Simone, please don't push me away because you're scared. Be scared and stay anyway. Please. She kissed him instead of answering, poured everything she couldn't say into it. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she whispered, I'm terrified. I know. I don't know how to do this, how to be in love and not lose myself. Then we'll figure it out together. He pressed his forehead to hers. I'm not going anywhere. Even when you try to push me away. Even when you self-sabotage. Even when the tabloids say terrible things. I'm staying. Got it? She nodded. Then, I think I'm falling for you too. His smile was brilliant. Yeah? Yeah. And it's terrifying. But also, good. Really good. Week 8, and things got complicated. The board meeting was routine, quarterly reports, budget approvals, nothing dramatic. Until Beverly Hartman, the oldest board member and Simone's harshest critic, cleared her throat during new business. I'd like to address a concern. Several concerns, actually. Simone's stomach dropped. Go ahead, Beverly. There have been reports, tabloid reports. Yes, but reports nonetheless, about your relationship with Carter Mitchell. The same Carter Mitchell whose venture capital firm attempted to merge with this company. That merger was declined, and my personal life is not board business. It is when it affects your judgment. Beverly's smile was sharp. You've been leaving work early, missing late meetings, and there are rumors you've been discussing confidential company information with Mr. Mitchell during your dates. That's not true, isn't it? Because last month, we were approached by the same developer Mr. Mitchell's firm just invested in. Quite a coincidence. The room went silent. Simone felt every eye on her. Keisha, sitting in the corner taking notes, looked stricken. I have never, Simone said, voice ice cold, discussed confidential company information with anyone outside this company. The developer approached us independently. You can verify that with him directly. I already have. Beverly leaned back. And while he confirmed your story, the perception remains. Perception matters in business, Simone. And the perception is that you've lost your edge, that you're distracted, that your personal life is compromising your professional judgment. My personal life has nothing to do with how I run this company, doesn't it? Because the Simone Hayes I've known for 20 years wouldn't be caught dead in tabloid photos looking smitten with a man 15 years her junior. That Simone was focused, driven, uncompromising. This version of you? Beverly gestured vaguely. This version smiles, leaves early, wears her hair down. Forgive me, but it's concerning. LaToya, sitting across the table, jumped in. Beverly, that's enough. Simone's personal choices are relevant when they affect this company's reputation. Beverly turned to the other board members. I'm not saying we take action. Yet. I'm simply raising a concern, one I know I'm not alone in having. 3 other board members nodded. Simone felt something cold settle in her chest. The same feeling she'd had 15 years ago when David said she was unlovable. The same feeling she'd had building these walls. The feeling of being too much and not enough at the same time. Noted, she said quietly. Is there any other business? The meeting continued. Simone sat through it mechanically, contributing when necessary, her mind elsewhere. After everyone left, LaToya stayed. Beverly's a bitter old woman who's mad you're happy. She's not wrong, though. Simone stared at the empty boardroom. I have changed. I'm less focused. I'm thinking about him when I should be thinking about deals. You're human, finally. After 15 years of being a machine. Being a machine protected me. Being a machine isolated you. LaToya came around the table, sat next to her. Yes, you've changed. But Simone, you're happier. I haven't seen you smile like this in 20 years. Don't let Beverly take that away from you. What if she's right? What if I'm losing my edge? What if loving him makes me weak? Love doesn't make you weak. Fear does. And right now, you're afraid. Simone's eyes burned. I'm terrified. Because if this doesn't work, if he leaves, if the board loses confidence, if I fail, I'll have lost everything. My company, my reputation, myself. Or, LaToya said gently, you could have it all. The company, the reputation, and the man who loves you. But you have to choose to trust that. That night, Carter noticed something was wrong immediately. They were at his penthouse, a gorgeous space overlooking the city, floor-to-ceiling windows, modern and cold, except for the touches he'd added recently. Fresh flowers because Simone liked them, throw blankets because she was always cold, Jill Scott on the speakers because it was her favorite. "What happened?" he asked, pouring her wine. "Bad board meeting." "How bad?" she told him. "All of it. Beverly's accusations, the other board members nodding, the implication that loving him made her weak." Carter's jaw went tight. "That's bullshit." "Is it?" "Yes. You're the same brilliant, driven, successful woman you were before we met. The only difference is now you're also happy. But what if happy makes me soft? What if—" "Simone." He set down his wineglass, pulled her to her feet. "Look at me. Happy doesn't make you soft. Vulnerable doesn't make you weak. You can be in love and still be the most successful CEO in Atlanta. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Everyone thinks they are. Everyone is wrong." His hands framed her face. "And if your board has a problem with you being happy, then fuck them. You built that company from nothing. You own the majority shares. They work for you, not the other way around. It's not that simple." "It is. Because here's what I know. You're scared. You're looking for reasons to push me away before I can hurt you. Beverly gave you that reason. But Simone, I'm not your ex-husband. I'm not going to tell you you're too much or not enough. I'm not going to leave when things get complicated. I'm staying. You don't know that." "Yes, I do. Because I'm in love with you. Not who you pretend to be. Not the ice queen everyone's afraid of. You. The woman who cries at Alicia Keys' songs and plays Mary J. Blige when she's sad. The woman who loves her nieces and nephews but feels invisible around them. The woman who built an empire because someone told her she wasn't enough. I love all of you, especially the parts you try to hide." Her chest felt too tight. "I don't know how to believe that." "Then let me prove it. Every day. For as long as it takes." She kissed him because she didn't have words. Because he was offering everything she'd convinced herself she'd never have. Because loving him was terrifying and perfect, and she couldn't stop even if she wanted to. They made love that night, slow and tender, him worshipping every inch of her like she was precious, her finally letting herself be vulnerable, be seen, be loved. After, lying in his arms, she whispered, "I love you." He went still. "Say that again." "I love you. I'm terrified, but I love you." His arms tightened around her. "Thank God. Because I've been waiting to hear that for weeks." She fell asleep feeling safe for the first time in 15 years. She should have known it wouldn't last. The problem started with a phone call Simone wasn't supposed to hear. She was at Carter's penthouse, had started keeping clothes there, a toothbrush, all the small invasions of space that meant something serious was happening. He was in the shower. His phone rang on the kitchen counter. She glanced at the screen. Harrison Webb. Harrison Webb, Carter's biggest competitor. The venture capitalist who'd been trying to poach Carter's clients for 2 years. The call went to voicemail. Then a text came through. "Harrison, deal's almost done. She doesn't suspect anything. Call me when you can talk freely." Simone's blood went cold. She doesn't suspect anything. Another text. "Harrison, once you have full access to Hayes Commercial's client list, we can move forward with the acquisitions. Your cut will be substantial." Her hands shook. She read it again, then again. Full access to Hayes Commercial's client list. The shower shut off. Carter would be out in 2 minutes. Simone did something she'd never done in her life. She opened his phone unlocked because he'd told her the password weeks ago, said he had nothing to hide, and scrolled through his messages with Harrison. There were dozens, going back months, before they'd met. "Harrison, Hayes Commercial is your target, right? Smart. She's built something solid. Carter, not just solid, untouchable, but there's always a way in." Harrison, "You thinking hostile takeover?" Carter, "No. Something more personal. Get close to her. Gain her trust. Access follows trust." Harrison, "The old honey trap. Risky." Carter, "Also effective. Give me 6 months." The messages continued. Planning. Strategizing. Carter reporting back on their dates, their conversations, which clients she'd mentioned. Carter, "She's opening up, talking about her biggest accounts. The Buckhead development deal is massive. We move on that. We double our investment." Harrison, "You're a genius. She actually trusts you." Carter, "She's falling in love with me. Won't be long now." The bathroom door opened. Simone stood in the kitchen, phone in her hand, the whole world crashing down around her. Carter walked out in sweatpants and a t-shirt, toweling his hair, saw her face, saw his phone in her hand. Simone, don't. Her voice was shaking. Don't you dare. He went pale. Let me explain. Explain what? That you've been using me this whole time? That everything, the parking garage, the rain, telling me you loved me, was all part of some sick plan to steal my clients? No. God, no. Simone, those messages, they're old. From before. Before what? Before you seduced me? Before you made me believe someone could actually love me? Her laugh was broken. I'm such an idiot. Latoya warned me. Beverly warned me. Even my own instincts warned me. But I ignored them because you looked at me like I was beautiful, like I mattered, like I was more than just Auntie Simone or the Ice Queen. You are more than that. You're everything. Simone, please. Stop lying. Her voice cracked. She threw his phone at him. He caught it. I read the messages, all of them. You and Harrison planning this for months. Using me. I gave you everything. I told you about my company, my clients, my... Her voice broke completely. I told you I loved you. And I love you, Simone, I do. Yes, it started as a plan. Harrison and I, we thought if I could get close to you, learn about your business, we could use that information. But then I actually met you, and everything changed. I fell for you, really fell. Those messages with Harrison, I stopped responding weeks ago. I called off the whole thing. Because what we have is real. You stopped responding? She pulled out her own phone, hands shaking. These texts are from yesterday, Carter. Yesterday. Deal's almost done. She doesn't suspect anything. Want to explain that? His face went ashen. I didn't send that. I swear to God. I didn't. Then who did? He stared at his phone. Scrolled. His jaw went tight. Harrison. He must have. I don't know. Hacked my phone? Spoofed messages? I didn't send these, Simone. You have to believe me. Why would I believe anything you say? You admitted it. You admitted you planned this, that it started as a con. Yes, it did. And I hate that. I hate that I was that person. But Simone, he crossed toward her. She backed away. The hurt on his face was almost convincing. People change. I changed. Because of you. You made me want to be better. Made me realize that success without someone to share it with is empty. I love you. Not for your clients. Not for your company. For you. Get away from me, Simone. Get away from me. She was crying now. Hated herself for it. Hated him for making her vulnerable enough to cry. I trusted you. I let you in. I broke every rule I've spent 15 years building, and for what? So you could steal from me? So you and Harrison could laugh about how easy I was to manipulate? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain to me how this is anything other than exactly what it looks like. You targeted me, seduced me, made me fall in love with you, and now you're going to use everything I told you to destroy my company. No, I would never. You already did. She grabbed her purse, her keys. We're done. Whatever this was, it's over. And Carter, if you or Harrison come near my company again, I will bury you both. Legally, financially, professionally. I will destroy you. Simone, please, just let me... She slammed the door before he could finish. Made it to her car before she broke completely. Sat in the parking garage, not the one where he'd first kissed her. Somewhere else. Somewhere without memories, and sobbed until she couldn't breathe. She'd known better. She'd known letting someone in was dangerous. She'd just forgotten how much it could hurt. By morning, she'd rebuilt her walls. Walked into her office at 6 a.m. in a black suit, hair pulled back severe, every emotion locked down tight. Keisha took one look at her face and said, "Oh no, what happened?" "Nothing. I need you to schedule an emergency meeting with our legal team, and I want a full audit of every conversation I've had with Carter Mitchell, every client I mentioned, every deal we discussed. If he's been passing information to Harrison Webb, I want to know what and when. Miss Hayes, do it. Now." Keisha fled. Latoya showed up at 8 a.m., took one look at Simone, and closed the office door. What did he do? Simone told her. Everything. The messages. Harrison. The plan that started before they'd even met. Latoya's face went hard. "I'll kill him. Get in line." "Simone, I'm so sorry. You were right to worry. I should have. You did. You warned me. I didn't listen." Simone's voice was flat, empty. "But that's done now. I'm done being soft. Done being vulnerable. Done pretending that love is anything other than a weapon people use against you. Don't do this. Don't shut down again. Why not? It worked for 15 years. I was successful, protected, safe. Then I let one man tell me I was beautiful, and I forgot every lesson I'd learned. Never again. What if he's telling the truth? What if those messages were fake? Then he can prove it. But until he does, he's the enemy. And I treat enemies the same way I always have. I destroy them. Carter called 17 times that day. She blocked his number. He showed up at her office at 3 p.m. Security escorted him out. He sent flowers. She had Keisha return them. He sent a 30-page document, phone records, security footage from his building, evidence that Harrison had somehow accessed his phone remotely and sent those messages. She almost read it. Almost. Then Beverly called an emergency board meeting. The conference room was packed. All 7 board members. LaToya, the company lawyers. Beverly stood at the head of the table. It's come to our attention that confidential company information may have been compromised. Simone's stomach dropped. What information? The Buckhead development deal. We just learned that Harrison Webb's venture capital firm approached the same developers yesterday, with inside knowledge of our offer. They're undercutting us by 3%. Exactly the margin we built in as negotiation room. The room went silent. Only 3 people knew that margin, Beverly continued. Me, you, and LaToya. Care to explain how Harrison Webb learned about it? I didn't tell him. No, but you told Carter Mitchell, who apparently told Harrison Webb, your boyfriend has been using you to steal our deals, and you were too smitten to notice. The words hit like physical blows. Every board member stared at her, judging, pitying. I ended things with Carter yesterday. As soon as you discovered? So you admit you were sharing confidential information with him, in personal conversations, not intentionally, not knowing he was. Doesn't matter if it was intentional. You compromised this company because you let your personal life affect your professional judgment. Exactly what I warned about. LaToya stood. Beverly, that's enough. Simone is the CEO. She built this company. One mistake that's about to cost us $100 million deal. Beverly turned to the other board members. I'm calling for a vote of no confidence. If the CEO can't separate her personal feelings from her professional responsibilities, she shouldn't be CEO. The room erupted. LaToya arguing. The lawyers objecting on procedural grounds. 3 board members nodding in agreement with Beverly. Simone sat silent, watching her empire crack apart. All because she'd let herself believe someone could love her. The vote was delayed barely by procedural requirements. They'd reconvene in 1 week. Simone had 7 days to prove she deserved to keep the company she'd built from nothing. 7 days to undo the damage, trusting Carter had caused. 7 days to figure out if she could survive losing everything twice. That night, alone in her penthouse, she stood at the window staring at the city. Same view as always. Same empty space. Except now, it felt emptier. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I forwarded you something. Check your email. Please. See. She should delete it. Should block this number too. Instead, she opened her email. Security footage from Carter's building. Time-stamped. Showing Harrison Webb entering Carter's penthouse while Carter was at work, using a key, accessing Carter's laptop. Then, phone records showing Harrison had been routing messages through Carter's number for 2 weeks, making it look like Carter was conspiring with him when he wasn't. Then, a police report. Carter had filed charges against Harrison yesterday for corporate espionage, fraud, and identity theft. Then, a notarized statement from Carter's lawyer, confirming that Carter had terminated all business relationships with Harrison 8 weeks ago, the exact week Carter had met Simone. The exact week everything had changed. She read it all twice, then 3 times, then sat down on her bedroom floor and cried, because she'd been wrong. He'd been telling the truth. Harrison had framed him, and she'd pushed Carter away without letting him prove his innocence. She'd done exactly what David had done to her 15 years ago, assumed the worst, and walked away without fighting for what they had. Her phone rang. Carter, she answered. I'm sorry. His voice was wrecked. I'm so sorry. Not for falling for you, I'll never be sorry for that, but for how it started. For even considering using you, that was wrong. Despicable. And I hate that I was that person. Carter, let me finish, please. I know you don't trust me. I know you have no reason to. But Simone, I love you. Not for your company, not for business. I love you because you're brave and brilliant, and you make me want to be better. And I will spend the rest of my life proving that if you'll let me. I saw the evidence. Harrison framed you. Silence. Then, you believe me? I'm trying to. But Carter, I'm scared. I'm so scared, because I let you in and it almost destroyed me, and I don't know if I can do that again. Then don't. Don't let me in. Keep your walls up. Protect yourself. But Simone, let me stand outside those walls and prove I'm worth the risk. Let me fight for you the way you deserve. The board is calling a vote of no confidence. Because of this. Because I trusted you, and it looks like I compromised the company. Then I'll fix it. I'll go to your board meeting. I'll explain everything. No, this is my company. My mess. I'll fix it. Let me help. Please. You don't have to do this alone. And there it was. The thing she'd been avoiding her whole life. You don't have to do this alone. I don't know how to not do it alone, she admitted. Then let me teach you. Let me be the person who stays when things get hard, who fights beside you instead of leaving when it's easier. I'm not your ex-husband. I'm not going to abandon you. I'm going to stay. Even if you push me away, even if you tell me to leave, I'm staying. Her chest felt too tight. Why? Because I love you, and you're worth fighting for, even when you don't believe that yourself. She closed her eyes, took a shaky breath, made a choice that terrified her. Okay, help me. But Carter, if you hurt me again, if this is another lie, I won't survive it. I know. I won't hurt you. I promise. She didn't know if she believed him. But for the first time in 15 years, she wanted to try. The emergency board meeting was scheduled for Tuesday at 2 p.m. Simone had 4 days to prepare. Carter showed up at her office Monday morning with coffee and a plan. We need to expose Harrison publicly, he said, spreading documents across her conference table. Show the board, show everyone that he orchestrated this, that you were a target, not a co-conspirator. How? I have phone records, security footage, financial transactions showing Harrison paid a hacker to access my phone. And he pulled out another folder, evidence that he's been trying to steal clients from both our companies for months. This wasn't just about you. It was about destroying us both and picking up the pieces. Simone studied the documents, detailed, thorough, damning. This could work. It will work. But Simone, you need to let me be there, at the board meeting, to testify, to show them this wasn't your fault. Every instinct screamed to say no, to handle it herself, to prove she didn't need anyone. But Latoya's words echoed, "Love doesn't make you weak. Fear does. Okay, you can be there." His relief was visible. "Thank you. But Carter, after this is over, after we deal with Harrison and the board, we need to talk. Really talk about what happens next. Because I can't," her voice caught, "I can't keep doing this if I'm constantly waiting for you to leave. If I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Then we'll talk. We'll figure it out. Together." He reached for her hand. She let him take it. "I'm not leaving, Simone. No matter what." "Monday afternoon," Claudia called. "I heard about the board meeting. Do you need me?" "No. I've got it handled." "Simone Elizabeth Hayes, don't you dare lie to me. Are you handling it or are you falling apart?" The truth slipped out before she could stop it. "Both. Do you still love him?" "Yes. And I hate that I do, because loving him almost destroyed everything I built. But it didn't. You're still standing, still fighting. That's what matters." Claudia paused. "And honey, that man filed police charges against his former business partner for you, turned over evidence that could hurt his own reputation, showed up at your office even though you told him to leave. That's not a man who's using you. That's a man who's in love. What if it's not enough? What if the board still votes me out? What if... Then you'll rebuild. Again, like you always do. But Simone, this time, you won't have to rebuild alone. Let him help. Let us help. Stop carrying everything by yourself." After they hung up, Simone sat in her office, staring at the city below. Alone had felt safer. But Claudia was right. Alone hadn't made her happy. It had just made her survive. Maybe it was time to do more than survive. Tuesday arrived too fast. The boardroom was packed. All 7 board members, Latoya and the lawyers. And at Beverly's insistence, reporters from 3 business publications. She wanted this public. Wanted Simone's downfall documented. Simone wore her sharpest suit, navy, powerful. Her hair pulled back severe. Every inch the Ice Queen. but her hands shook as she arranged her notes. Carter arrived at 1:55. Beverly frowned. "This is a closed board meeting. Mr. Mitchell is here at my request," Simone said. "As a witness, he has evidence relevant to the accusations against me." "Evidence? Or a lover trying to protect you?" "Let's find out." Simone's voice was ice. She gestured to the seat beside her. Carter sat. Under the table, his hand found hers, squeezed once. "You're not alone." Beverly called the meeting to order. "We're here to address the breach of confidential information that led to Hayes Commercial losing the Buckhead development deal to Harrison Webb's venture capital firm. Miss Hayes, you've been accused of sharing confidential information with Carter Mitchell, who passed it to Harrison Webb. What's your response?" Simone stood. "I acknowledge that I discussed the Buckhead deal with Mr. Mitchell during personal conversations. At the time, I believed those conversations were private, and that Mr. Mitchell was not associated with Harrison Webb. I was wrong about the association, but not in the way you think." She nodded to Carter. He stood, distributing folders to each board member. "3 months ago," Carter said, "Harrison Webb approached me about a partnership. He wanted to target Hayes Commercial. He suggested I get close to Miss Hayes personally, gain her trust, and use that access to steal clients. I initially agreed." The room erupted. Beverly's smile was triumphant. "However," Carter continued, voice rising over the noise, "I terminated that agreement 8 weeks ago, the day I actually met Simone, because the plan, which was reprehensible, became impossible the moment I got to know her. I fell in love with her, and I refused to betray her." He pulled up a presentation on the screen. Security footage. Harrison entering Carter's apartment, accessing his laptop. "Harrison didn't accept my withdrawal from our agreement. Instead, he hacked my phone, sent messages from my number, made it appear I was still conspiring with him. Then he used information from those fake conversations to steal the Buckhead deal. More slides, phone records, financial transactions, a police report. I filed charges against Harrison Webb yesterday for corporate espionage, fraud, and identity theft. The FBI is investigating, and I'm prepared to testify to all of this under oath." Silence. Then Beverly, "So you admit you initially planned to betray Miss Hayes?" "Yes, and I will regret that for the rest of my life. But I didn't follow through. I chose her. Over business, over profit, over everything." "How convenient. You expect us to believe." "I don't expect anything." Carter's voice was hard now. "But the evidence speaks for itself. Harrison is the criminal here, not Simone. She trusted me in personal conversations. That's not a breach of ethics. That's being human. And if you punish her for being human, you're no better than Harrison." He sat down. LaToya stood next. "I move that we pursue legal action against Harrison Webb for corporate espionage. And I move that we drop all proceedings against Simone. She's run this company brilliantly for 15 years. One targeted attack doesn't change that." 3 board members nodded immediately. Beverly's face was stone. "And what about her judgment? She was targeted because she let her personal life compromise her professional boundaries." "No." Simone stood again, voice steady now, strong. "I was targeted because I'm successful, because Harrison saw an opportunity to destroy me and took it. Yes, I fell in love. Yes, I trusted someone. And yes, that made me vulnerable. But vulnerability isn't weakness, Beverly. It's courage. It's choosing to live instead of just survive." She looked at each board member. "For 15 years, I've run this company with an iron fist. No personal life, no distractions, no softness. And I built something incredible. But I also built it alone, lonely, convinced that success and happiness were mutually exclusive." Her voice softened. "I'm not that person anymore. I'm still brilliant at my job, still driven, still successful, but now I'm also happy. And if you can't accept a CEO who is both competent and human, then maybe this isn't the right company for me anymore." The room went silent. Then Thomas, her CFO, spoke up. "I vote to drop all proceedings. Simone built this company. She's earned our trust. One attack doesn't erase 15 years of excellence." "Seconded," LaToya said immediately. 3 more board members agreed. Beverly's face was furious, but she was outvoted. "Motion carries," Thomas said. "All proceedings against Simone Hayes are dropped. We'll pursue legal action against Harrison Webb." Meeting adjourned. The reporters left. The board members filed out. Beverly left last, shooting Simone a look that promised this wasn't over. Then it was just Simone, Carter, and LaToya. "Holy shit," LaToya breathed. "You did it. We did it." Simone looked at Carter. "Thank you. For standing up there. For telling the truth even though it made you look bad. I didn't do it to look good. I did it because you deserved someone fighting for you, the way you fought for everyone else your whole life." LaToya grabbed her bag. "I'm going to give you 2 a minute. But Simone, I'm proud of you. Not for winning, for being brave enough to be vulnerable." After she left, Carter and Simone stood in the empty boardroom. "I meant what I said in there," Simone said quietly. "About not being that person anymore. About choosing to be happy even if it's scary. Does that mean—" "It means I love you. Completely. Terrifyingly. It means I want to try this. Really try. Not holding back. Not waiting for you to leave. Just being together and seeing what happens." His smile was brilliant. "Yeah? Yeah. But Carter, I need you to understand something. I'm never going to be easy. I'm always going to be driven and ambitious and a little bit scary. I'm always going to put work first sometimes. And I'm always going to struggle with letting people in. I know. That's what I love about you. And I need you to promise that if this gets hard, you'll stay. You'll fight for us. You won't just walk away. I promise. Simone, I'm in this. All the way. For as long as you'll have me." She kissed him then. Long and deep. The kind of kiss that felt like a beginning. When they broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. "Take me home. Your place or mine. Doesn't matter. As long as we're together." 3 days later. The story broke on Friday. Harrison Webb arrested. FBI charges. Venture capitalist with corporate espionage. The article detailed everything. The hacking. The fraud. The attempts to destroy both Carter's and Simone's companies. And buried in the 4th paragraph, Mitchell and Hayes, who've been dating for 3 months, cooperated fully with the FBI investigation. The comments this time were different. "She took down a corporate criminal. That's badass. Age gap, who cares? Look at what they built together. Power couple goals, honestly." Simone read them in Carter's kitchen while he made breakfast. He noticed her smiling. "What?" "The comments. They're actually nice. People love a good redemption story. And we gave them one." He slid a plate in front of her. "Pancakes. With extra butter. Just how you like them." She stared at the pancakes. At this man who'd learned how she took her coffee, her pancakes, her life. Who'd fought for her when she'd pushed him away. Who'd stood in front of her board and risked his reputation to protect hers. "Marry me." Carter froze, fork halfway to his mouth. "What? Marry me? Not now. Not tomorrow. But eventually. When we're ready. Because I don't want to spend another day wondering if you're going to leave. I want to spend the rest of my life knowing you're staying." He set down his fork, crossed to her, pulled her to her feet. "Simone Hayes, are you proposing to me? Is that a problem? It's perfect. You're perfect. And yes, whenever you're ready. Tomorrow. Next year. 10 years from now. Yes." She kissed him, tasted syrup and promises and the future she'd convinced herself she'd never have. When they broke apart, she said, "I love you. I love you too. Even though you're bossy and intimidating, and you proposed to me before I could propose to you." "Were you planning to propose?" He pulled a ring box out of his pocket. She laughed, actually laughed, tears streaming down her face. "How long have you had that?" 2 weeks. Been carrying it around, waiting for the right moment. Figured after the board meeting, if you didn't hate me, I'd ask." He opened the box. A simple diamond, elegant, perfect. "But you beat me to it. So now what?" "Now we both say yes. Deal." He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Just like them. Sunday dinner at Claudia's was different this time. Simone walked in at 3 p.m. holding Carter's hand. The ring on her finger caught the light. James saw it first. "Auntie Simone, is that—" "Yes." Simone smiled a real smile, the kind she'd forgotten how to make for 15 years. "We're engaged." The house erupted. Claudia screamed. Actually screamed. "I knew it. I told Marcus. I said that man was serious." Brianna hugged Carter immediately. "You better be good to her. She deserves the best." "I know. I plan to spend my life proving I'm worth her." Marcus, Claudia's husband, shook Carter's hand. "Welcome to the family, son. Fair warning, Sunday dinners are mandatory. And loud. Wouldn't have it any other way." Dinner was chaos. Everyone talking over each other, asking about the wedding, about how he proposed. Brianna wanted to be a bridesmaid. James wanted to give a speech. Claudia's youngest, Marcus Jr., just wanted to know if Uncle Carter was rich enough to buy him a car. Simone sat at the table, not at the end this time, but in the middle, and felt something she hadn't felt in 20 years, like she belonged. Carter's hand found hers under the table, squeezed. After dinner, she helped Claudia with dishes again. "I'm proud of you," Claudia said quietly. "Not for getting engaged, for letting yourself be happy. It's terrifying. The best things always are." Claudia dried a plate. "You spent 15 years convincing yourself you didn't need anyone. But honey, needing someone isn't weakness. It's human." "I know. I'm learning." Simone paused. "Thank you for not giving up on me, for calling me out when I was hiding, for forcing me to come to Sunday dinners even when I didn't want to. That's what sisters do. We don't let you give up on yourself." Claudia hugged her. "Now go back in there and let that gorgeous man worship you the way you deserve." Monday morning, Simone walked into her office at 7 a.m. Keisha was already there, coffee ready, smile bright. "Miss Hayes, I saw the ring. Oh my God, congratulations." "Thank you, Keisha. Can I—" She hesitated. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. How did you know that he was the one? After everything with Harrison, after the board meeting, after all that doubt, how did you know to trust him?" Simone thought about it. "I didn't. Not completely. Trust isn't something you know. It's something you choose. Every day, even when you're scared, even when it would be easier to walk away, you choose to trust that the person you love will choose you back. That's beautiful. It's also terrifying. But Keisha," she smiled, "it's worth it. Being scared and loved is better than being safe and alone." Keisha's eyes were shining. "I'm really happy for you, Miss Hayes. You deserve this." "Thank you. Now," Simone pulled up her calendar, "let's get to work. We have a company to run." The board meeting 2 weeks later was different. Beverly had resigned. Quietly. Effective immediately. Rumors said she'd been offered a position at a competitor and taken it. Good riddance. In her place, they'd appointed someone new, Tamara Johnson. Young, brilliant, a woman who'd built her own successful firm and understood that success and humanity weren't mutually exclusive. The meeting was routine. Quarterly reports. Budget approvals. The Buckhead deal salvaged after Harrison's arrest made developers nervous about working with him. At the end, Thomas spoke up. "I want to say something about what happened with Harrison Webb." The room went quiet. "We almost made a terrible mistake. We almost punished Simone for being human, for falling in love, for letting someone in, and I'm ashamed of that." He looked at Simone. "You've run this company brilliantly for 15 years, and the last 3 months, you've run it just as brilliantly, maybe more so, because you're not just surviving anymore, you're thriving, and that's what we should want for our CEO. Not just success, but happiness too." Several board members nodded. "So I want to formally apologize for doubting you, for letting Beverly's bitterness influence us, for forgetting that the best leaders are the ones who are whole people, not just successful ones." Simone's throat felt tight. "Thank you, Thomas. That means more than you know." After the meeting, LaToya stayed behind. "You did it," she said. "You beat them. Harrison, Beverly, your own doubt. You won. We won. I couldn't have done this without you." "Yes, you could have. But I'm glad you didn't have to." LaToya smiled. "So when's the wedding?" "We haven't set a date yet. But," Simone hesitated, "I want you to be my maid of honor." LaToya's eyes filled. "Girl, you know I'm going to cry at this wedding. Ugly cry. The kind that ruins makeup. I'm counting on it." 6 months later, the venue was perfect. A garden in Buckhead, late afternoon, golden light filtering through trees. Intimate. Just family and close friends. Simone stood in the bridal suite, staring at her reflection. The dress was burgundy, the color she'd worn on their first date. Elegant, fitted, showing her shoulders. Her locks were down, adorned with small flowers. She looked beautiful. More importantly, she felt beautiful. Claudia stood behind her, adjusting the veil. "You ready?" Terrified. "But yes." "Good answer." Claudia squeezed her shoulders. "I'm so proud of you, Simone. Not for the wedding, for getting here, for choosing to be brave. Thank you. For everything. For never giving up on me. That's what family does." A knock at the door. James poked his head in. "Auntie Simone? They're ready for you." Auntie Simone. The name didn't sting anymore, because she wasn't just Auntie now. She was also fiancée, soon-to-be wife, partner, woman who was loved exactly as she was. The music started. Latoya went first, beautiful in sage green, smiling through tears. Brianna followed, scattering rose petals. Then it was her turn. Simone walked down the aisle alone, no one giving her away, because she wasn't property to be transferred. She was her own person, choosing to share her life with someone who chose her back. Carter stood at the altar in a dark grey suit, hands clasped in front of him, and when he saw her, his face broke into the most beautiful smile she'd ever seen. She reached him. He took her hands. "Hi," he whispered. "Hi, yourself." The officiant started talking. Something about love and commitment and choosing each other every day. Simone barely heard it. She was too busy looking at Carter, at this man who'd fought for her, who'd seen her walls and hadn't tried to break them down, just stood outside them until she was ready to let him in. "Simone," the officiant said, "your vows." She'd written them down, then thrown them away, then rewritten them 3 times, finally decided to just speak from her heart. "Carter, 15 years ago, I decided that being alone was safer than being hurt. I built walls so high that no one could reach me. I convinced myself that success was enough, that I didn't need anyone." Her voice caught. "Then you walked into my boardroom and looked at me like I was the only person who mattered. You saw past the ice queen to the woman underneath, the woman who was lonely and scared and convinced she was unlovable." Tears were streaming down her face now. Carter's eyes were wet too. "You taught me that being strong doesn't mean being alone, that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage, that I can be powerful and soft, successful and happy, independent and in love. You taught me that I'm worthy of being chosen, every day, for the rest of my life." She squeezed his hands. "So, I choose you, every day, in the boardroom and the bedroom and every moment in between. I choose us, I choose this, I choose love, even though it's terrifying, especially because it's terrifying." Carter was crying now, not hiding it, just letting the tears fall. "Your turn," the officiant said gently. Carter cleared his throat. "Simone, the first time I saw you, I thought you were the most intimidating woman I'd ever met. The second time, I thought you were the most brilliant, but it took me weeks to see the most important thing. You were lonely, just like me. We'd both built empires to hide the fact that we were terrified of letting anyone matter." He wiped his eyes. "You changed everything. You made me want to be better. Not more successful, not more powerful, just better, more honest, more vulnerable, more human. And when I almost lost you, when I thought my past mistakes had destroyed us, I realized that nothing mattered more than you. Not business, not money, not reputation, just you." His voice was shaking. "So I promise to choose you, every day, when you're the ice queen in the boardroom and when you're soft in my arms at 3 a.m., when you're strong and when you're scared, when you're right and when you're wrong. I promise to stand beside you, not in front of you or behind you. Beside you, partners, equals, forever." The officiant was crying now too. "By the power vested in me, honestly, I'm just going to skip ahead. Do you both say yes?" "Yes," they said together. "Then I now pronounce you married. Kiss already before I start sobbing." Carter kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise, the kind of kiss that felt like coming home. Their friends and family erupted in applause. When they broke apart, Simone whispered, "We did it. Yeah, we really did." The reception was perfect. Dancing and laughter, and Jill Scott playing and Claudia Ugly crying through her speech, and Latoya making everyone laugh with stories about Simone in her Ice Queen era, and James giving a surprisingly moving toast about how Auntie Simone taught him that success without happiness is just survival. But the best moment was late in the evening. Simone and Carter snuck away from the party, walked to the edge of the garden where they could see the city lights in the distance. 42 floors up, Simone said quietly. "That's where I used to stand, in my penthouse, looking at the city, feeling successful and empty. And now? Now I still look at the city, but I'm not empty anymore." She turned to him. "Thank you for not giving up on me, for fighting for us, for teaching me that I could have everything, the company, the success, and the love. You taught me the same thing." He pulled her close. "We're quite a team, Mrs. Mitchell." "Mrs. Hayes Mitchell," she corrected. "I'm keeping my name." "Of course you are. Wouldn't expect anything else." They stood there, holding each other, watching the city that had once felt so isolating but now felt full of possibility. Behind them, the party continued. Laughter and music and family and friends. Ahead of them, the rest of their lives. Together, finally. 2 years later, the business magazine arrived on a Thursday. Simone opened it in her office, their office now, since Carter had moved his venture capital firm into Hayes Tower 6 months ago. The cover showed them both, professional, powerful, happy. Atlanta's power couple. How Simone Hayes Mitchell and Carter Mitchell built an empire together. The article was glowing. Talked about their individual successes, their merger, personal and professional, how Hayes Mitchell Commercial Group had become the most successful real estate development firm in the Southeast. But Simone's favorite part was the last paragraph. When asked about their secret to success, Simone Hayes Mitchell laughed. "We stopped pretending we had to do everything alone," she said. "Turns out, the bravest thing we ever did was let each other in. Business success is meaningless if you're miserable. We're proof you can have both if you're willing to be vulnerable enough to try." Carter walked into the office, saw the magazine, smiled. "We made the cover." "We did. They called us a power couple." "They're not wrong." He crossed to her, kissed her softly. "How are you feeling?" She touched her stomach, barely showing yet, just a small curve. "Good. Tired. Overwhelmed. Terrified. Normal pregnancy symptoms. I'm going to be 56 when this baby is born, Carter. 56. Do you know how old that is for a first-time mother? Do you know how amazing you're going to be?" He knelt beside her chair, hands on her stomach. "This baby is lucky. They're getting a mother who's brilliant and strong and brave, who built an empire and still has room in her heart for more, who learned that success and love aren't mutually exclusive." Her eyes filled. "Damn hormones. What if I'm terrible at this? Then we'll be terrible together. But Simone, you spent 15 years building walls. Then you tore them down for me. You can do anything." That evening, they went to Sunday dinner at Claudia's. The family had grown. James had a girlfriend now. Brianna was in college. Marcus Jr. had his license and drove them crazy. When Simone and Carter announced the pregnancy, Claudia burst into tears. "I'm going to be an auntie. To your baby. I can't." She was hyperventilating. Marcus had to bring her water. Brianna hugged Simone tight. "See? I told you that you deserved everything. You listened." "I did. Finally." After dinner, Simone found herself in the kitchen with Claudia again. Same spot, same routine, but everything different. "You happy?" Claudia asked. "Terrified. But yes, deliriously happy." "Good, because you deserve it. All of it. The company, the husband, the baby, the life you convinced yourself you couldn't have. I almost didn't try. I was so sure being alone was safer. But you were brave. And look what happened." Claudia smiled. "That's my sister, the ice queen who learned to melt and became even more powerful because of it." That night, in the penthouse, their penthouse now, filled with Carter's things and wedding photos and signs of life, Simone stood at the window. Same view, 42 floors up, the city spread out below, but she wasn't alone anymore. Carter wrapped his arms around her from behind, hands settling on her stomach where their baby was growing. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That I spent 15 years looking at this view feeling empty, convincing myself that success was enough, that I didn't need anyone. And now? Now I have everything. The company, the success, the man who fought for me when I tried to push him away, the family who never gave up on me, the baby we're terrified about but already love." She turned in his arms. "I have everything because I was brave enough to let you in." He kissed her forehead. "We were brave enough to let each other in. Best decision I ever made. Second best." "What's the first?" "Wearing that burgundy dress on our first date. You looked stunning. I forgot how to breathe." She laughed, the kind of laugh that came easy now, that didn't feel dangerous anymore. "I almost didn't wear it. Thought it was too much. It was perfect. You were perfect. You are perfect." Behind them, the city glowed. Ahead of them, the rest of their lives. Two people who'd built walls so high they'd forgotten what it felt like to be seen. Two people who'd learned that being strong doesn't mean being alone. Two people who'd chosen each other. Every day. Even when it was scary. Especially when it was scary. Simone Hayes Mitchell was 55 years old. She ran a $500 million empire. She was married to a man 15 years younger who loved her fiercely. She was having a baby. She was happy. She was no longer invisible. She was no longer just Auntie. She was everything she'd convinced herself she couldn't be. Successful and soft, powerful and vulnerable, independent and deeply, terrifyingly, beautifully, in love. And for the first time in 15 years, standing in her penthouse looking at the city, she wasn't alone. She was home. What would you rate this story? Drop 0 to 10 inches the comments right now. If this story moved you, hit subscribe for more emotional journeys every week. And if it truly touched your heart, consider leaving a super thanks. Your support helps us create more stories like this. Every contribution, big or small, means the world. Ready for the next story? It's even more dramatic than this one. Click now. Thank you for being part of this journey.